Welcome to our explainer on something that's absolutely critical for any BDC sales pro, mastering lead management. If you've ever had that nagging feeling that you're leaving money on the table, well, you're in the right place. Let's dive right in. So let's start with a problem that quietly costs businesses a fortune. You see this broken piggy bank? It's not just a clever image. It represents the real, actual revenue that's leaking out of your business every single day because of poor lead management. And here's the number that really drives it home. A staggering 63%. That's nearly 2/3 of businesses lose leads just because their follow-up is too slow or, just plain ineffective. Imagine that. Potential customers just vanishing into thin air. So what's the real cost here? I mean, we're not just talking about one missed sale. It's all those wasted marketing dollars. It's frustrated prospects who actually wanted to hear from you. And worst of all, it's business that you are basically just handing over to your faster, more organized competitors.
Okay, first up, the leaky funnel problem. This is all about that gap between the leads you're generating and the deals you're actually closing. It's a huge drain on your revenue.
Now, this slide right here, this shows a massive opportunity. Get this. Only 37% of businesses even respond to an online lead within the first hour. That means the majority of the market is just wide open for anyone who can simply act fast. Next section, why good leads go bad. We all know speed is important, so why do so many really qualified leads just go cold? Let's break down the human and the systemic reasons behind it. It often boils down to two really common challenges. On one hand, you have the genuine fear of rejection. You might have heard it called call avoidance, and it's a very real thing. On the other hand, it's the simple reality of being totally overwhelmed. Just not enough hours in a day that's already jam-packed with other urgent tasks. And the result of all that? A total lack of process. As you can see here, without a clear system, sales pros are basically lost in a maze. This leads to that inconsistent follow-up that lets potential customers drift right over to a competitor who actually has a map. All right, let's talk about the power of persistence. The good news is there's a really powerful principle that can turn this whole thing around: strategic persistence. Think of it as the bridge between that initial interest in closing the deal. This chart really shows why persistence is so crucial. Industry data reveals a massive 80% of sales require 5 or more follow-ups to close. And since most people give up after 1 or 2 tries, the winners are simply the ones who stick with it. And here's the payoff for that persistence. Consistent, relevant contact, it builds genuine trust. And that trust, it can boost your conversion rates by up to 40%. It's about building a relationship, not just making a sale. Now, the key here is balance. This isn't about being aggressive or, annoying. Smart outreach is strategic and helpful. It's about adding value with every single touch point. You want to be a resource, not a nuisance. So let's move on to the blueprint for a perfect cadence. We're going to build a practical, step-by-step plan for a perfect follow-up that you can start using pretty much today. A truly effective follow-up cadence is really built on 3 essential pillars. First, you've got to get the pacing and mix of touch points just right. Second, the messaging has to be deeply personalized. And third, you have to have a clear call to action every single time. First up, pacing. You need to plan your outreach so you stay top of mind without just becoming background noise. This means finding that sweet spot for frequency and using a good variety of methods: calls, emails, social media, all in a really thoughtful sequence. Second, personalization. Every single message has to be tailored to that lead's specific interests and pain points. You've got to stop selling and start providing value that actually resonates, offering real solutions that show you are paying attention. And finally, make it incredibly easy for them to take the next step. Every interaction needs a clear, totally unambiguous call to action. You have to guide your leads. Tell them what's next, whether that's scheduling a demo, downloading a resource, or booking a call. Okay, next up, scaling with tech and rules. So we have the blueprint. Now let's look at the tools and the rules you need to scale this strategy like a pro. Technology is absolutely your best friend here. Use a CRM to automate all your tracking. Use AI chatbots for that instant engagement. You can even leverage AI to spot buying signals. And hey, you can even outsource some of that initial prospecting to free up your team to focus on what they do best: closing deals. But with all this power comes responsibility, right? You must stick to compliance rules like GDPR in Europe and CAN spam in the US. Always, always check against do not call lists, and if someone asks to opt out, you honor that request instantly. No exceptions. And what about those really valuable leads who just aren't ready to buy yet? Well, that's where the long nurture cadence comes in. This is a whole strategy focused on building a relationship over time, just by drip feeding them helpful educational content. That way, you stay top of mind for when the time is right. Ultimately, it all comes down to this quote: a disciplined, strategic, and persistent follow-up process, that is what separates the absolute top performers from everybody else in sales. It really is that simple. So I'll leave you with this question to ask yourself. Is your current follow-up process actively winning you sales, or is it letting all that precious revenue just silently slip away into a competitor's pocket? The real question is, are you set up to win?